Hello and welcome to Bharat Gazette. I am Sara Munir and we are incredibly lucky today to have Ms. Sumaya Qasim with us. A certified children and adolescent counselor, a student of psychology, she loves working with kids and teenagers. Passionate about teaching and educating, she has been in the field since the past 5 years. She believes that teenagers are a misunderstood lot and therefore wants to develop a better relationship among parents, teachers, and children based on mutual respect, compassion, and understanding. She's going to be answering some of our questions regarding the impact of lockdown and pandemic on mental and physical health of children today. Let's get right to it. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, Sarah. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. First of all, let me thank you for joining us today. And let's
I think I should thank you for inviting me over because this is such an important topic that needs discussion, and not many platforms are open to talking about it.
right,
So,
right.
thanks a lot.
Let's start by talking about how the COVID 19 pandemic, which has forced all of us to be housebound, has impacted children's health, both physical and mental, and has resulted in anxiety, irritability, and other symptoms. We are all in this for the first time and thus either ignorant or unaware and are curious to know about it from you, ma'am. So, without any further ado, let's take up the questions. Ma'am, at a
Sure.
time when children should be out in the open and playing, they have been stuck inside four walls. Does this have a negative impact on mental health of children between 5 to 12 years of age?
Yes, of course. Any changes in the environment or the way they live, any changes that come their way, they always have a negative impact. I mean, it can have an impact on children, but if it is negative or positive depends on the situation itself. And currently, looking at the pandemic and the panic and the fear and the anxiety among the adults itself,
Hmm.
definitely children have a very negative impact on them due to this. So yes, the whole situation, the whole atmosphere was really very, at least in the initial stages of I think the first 6 months were really filled with panic and stress and all these sensationalized news channels with their breaking news and stuff and the death rates and all these things. So children did really get impacted by that negatively, I must say.
Okay. So, social media addiction or usage has increased due to closure of schools and use of an alternative teaching method. How is it affecting the minds of children?
Yes, social media again has a very negative impact on children because uh, now the primary means of their education has become through cell phones or tablets or either computers. So now controlling them to just controlling their screen time and exposure to screens and social media has become really hard for parents, and this has resulted in an extreme another level of actually social media addiction where children are always on the internet, they are always online. And I've seen as I'm a teacher, I've seen that children as young as 13 or 12 or even 10 years old have their own cell phones. They have their own cell phones. That means that they have the right to just open and go to any website, do whatever they want at their own free will. And parents thinking that, oh, okay, this is how they are going to study now, this is the only way now, so the parents have become lax. But in actuality, this is causing a lot of problems. Parents need to monitor first of all what is going on. And yes, we understand that it is the only means of communicating with the teachers and studying online and everything, but parents really need to focus on what happens after the class. They should not so much access to social media websites and everything. And another thing is that social media sites like YouTube are very open. Even if parents have their account signed in, I mean, if that is the least they are doing, even then, children gain access to adult content that is not targeted for them. One example I would really like to mention is eighth graders. I teach eighth graders as well. So some of the eighth graders in my class were quoting a very famous gaming YouTuber In India, I think he is Carrie Minati.
Yeah.
And I was really shocked because the content which he produces, Carrie Minati, is targeted for an adult audience. What
Right.
are children
Absolutely.
doing? They are, yeah, idolizing him even. They are talking about him. They are talking like him. So this is just one example how social media affects them, and definitely it has an impact on their mental health, majorly because the things they see, it can target their self-esteem. Low self-esteem issues arise from social media these days because of the way they see things. They see perfection in others, and they think and they start comparing, and the beauty standards and all those things, the size and all these things, they start comparing that. Then they have anxiety because they are not able to catch up with the fast paced world. They see that the YouTubers are making a lot of money, the social media influencers are making a lot of money, they are gaining fame overnight. So all these things makes them anxious, and then again it results in a very negative self image of themselves. And apart from these things, there's cyberbullying, there is addiction to, pornography, illicit material and all those things, and things that they shouldn't be seeing at such an young age. They are being exposed to all those things, so definitely it has a very huge negative impact on their mental health.
So basically, monitoring is very important. Monitoring after
Yes,
classes.
very, very important. Yes, very important. Parents should take account of what they are doing, and this is something that I think parents really, really need to focus on, because I think there is also one major issue that parents think that they do not know, how to use the cell phones very much. They think that they don't know what is Instagram. They think that we don't know what is Snapchat, so let us not get into that. But this is a very, very wrong idea that parents have. They should and they must learn these things. If they don't know what is Instagram, they need to learn, because you have to keep up with your child. Your child is not going to stop using Instagram just because you don't know how to use it, or
Mhm.
you just tell them, oh, I don't know Instagram, don't use it. So that is not going to happen. So parents need to educate themselves and monitor their children, what they are doing, what are they up to, and talk about it freely with them.
Absolutely. Okay. So moving on. What have you found to be the major psychological effects of lockdown on young people and what we call adolescents, maybe?
The major psychological impacts, as shown by research, there was a study conducted in China and Spain and Italy, and they had conducted this studies for children between the ages 12 to 17, and because they are easily available for survey online, so they found that depression, anxiety, and post traumatic stress disorders or PTSD is a very common mental health illnesses that adolescents were facing. And similarly, the age groups below the we call the children, those we call the children, they also face this same issue, but it is very much neglected, or it is not easily spotted, because it is obviously sometimes it is most of the times it is actually thought about as, a child. What do they call it? It is just a child being a child, or he is throwing a tantrum, or she's throwing a tantrum, she's just being her moody self or something like that. But yes, depression, anxiety, and post traumatic stress disorders are the most common mental health illnesses or psychological illnesses that can affect children from all ages, from ages 5. uh, Researchers have also said that children below the age of 5, starting from 3 years, also can get affected
Oh,
negatively, and their mental health is deteriorating. Yes.
okay. So, what are some of the problems that parents as well as kids between the age of 5 to 12 might face due to this pandemic?
Parents, firstly, we will start with parents. Parents are facing a lot of anxiety, depression, and restlessness, or you can say uncertainty about the future. So they themselves are very much scared of this whole situation. There is a lot of loss of jobs also, so
Right,
the
which is
financial
new and
crisis that is going
nobody
on.
thought of
Yeah.
it.
Yes, and nobody thought of it. It came very suddenly. So they themselves are trying to cope with it. And when they fail to actually, when they fail to understand the situation, or they fail to handle the situation themselves, then it creates a problem for the children as well. Because they are not, first of all, if they don't understand the situation, or if they don't handle the situation themselves well, they will never be able to make their children understand what is going on. So this has created a kind of a friction or tension between the parent and children relationships. And it is also noted that child abuse and violence against children has increased by tenfolds during this pandemic. Yes, and it is through the violence is through parents. So why did this happen? Because parents were not able to cope with the stress of this whole pandemic. So when parents are not ready to face this, parents are not ready to understand what is going on with them, then it will be really hard for children to understand what is going around them as well. So this has, just affected both parents and children very, very negatively.
So you're saying that parents should first learn to handle the situation themselves and then make it clear to their children.
Exactly. Parents should learn, parents should educate themselves what is going on around the world, how is this affecting me, how is this affecting the society, and what could be the possible outcomes in the future. They should know that what are the risks involved, what is the, like the protocol to be followed, everything that they need to learn, they must learn it. And then it is very important for parents to sit and talk about them with their children,
Right.
that, oh,
Clear
see,
with them.
this is. Yes, open communication is very important. They must sit down and talk to them according to the age. If their children are very young, use words that are mild and do not alarm them with the death rates and everything. But they need to be taught about, they need to be educated about the pandemic. They need to be told what is going on, and in a subtle way. And the children who are grown up, or who could be mature enough to understand the risks of it all, the bad sides of it all, they must be told again in a particular way, in a way that is very appropriate for according to their ages.
Hmm.
And but it is very important to that this thing comes from their parents, because news and friends and all these fake news messages and all these things, that can create a lot of negativity around children as well. It's not that just parents are affected with news and what is going on around the world, all the talks that this is happening, China is doing that, this, all these conspiracy theories, children are very much into it actually, the conspiracy theories, and that can really, yes, it can really affect their thinking as well.
Right. So how can parents mark down if their child's mental health is being affected during this lockdown?
Some of the most common psychological markers that parents can notice is change in behavior. Anytime if the parents think that, oh, this is not, she is or he is not acting like what he used to, or this is not being him, that is the first sign. You have to, you don't have to, just neglect it thinking, oh, she's just being moody. It could be moody, it could be their moodiness, or it could be their tantrums or whatever. But if it is continuously going on, then they need to stop, and they need to actually sit down and listen to what their children have to say. It could be anything, it can be two extremes. It could be that their child goes, just silent. He or she is not interested in their usual activities and is not participating in whatever he used to do routinely. Or it could be that another end of the spectrum could be that she or he, they are throwing tantrums and becoming very aggressive, or becoming very loud, crying all the time, or just simply trying to act up, like trying to act rebellious or something. So these are the things that they need to know. Apart from this, they must also see if they are having difficulties in sleeping at night, if they are having difficulties in eating. Yeah, some children, when they are in distress, the most common thing that they do is stop eating. So this is a very good indicator of what something might be wrong. And apart from these things, there are things like, if the children are very young, sudden bedwetting, this could be one thing. Suddenly, yeah, sudden changes in behavior, not wanting to shower maybe, wanting to be isolated, not wanting to go out and play, or not wanting to go with friends, not wanting to talk with people who he loves to talk. So all these things can point out towards a significant or an underlying problem with children.
So even something we consider normal sometimes can be a sign, right?
Yes, yes, definitely it can be a sign, especially if it comes out of nowhere.
Okay. And then what would you say are the clinical manifestations of mental ill health because of COVID-19 in children?
The most common, again, the most common ones are depression, um, anxiety disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorders. This can also lead to self-harm and suicidal thoughts. All these things because all the major anxiety disorders and depression, all these things definitely at one point or other trigger the feeling of self-harm or inflicting self-harm on children. So that could be the I think the major clinical manifestations according
Okay, so
to
how does one
psychologists.
mark down if their child is in depression? Just change in behavior, like you mentioned earlier, or is it something else?
Yes, depression is actually very difficult to point out, especially if the child has been going through it a lot. What parents need to do is closely monitor their children, what they are doing, what their activities are, what kind of stuff are they watching. Because if they are suicidal, they tend to, or if they are depressed, and in that depressive state, they tend to watch things that can, just trigger some things. It is a need,
Hmm.
so they have to watch out for that. What kind of things are they watching? What are the things they are speaking? What are the things they are talking to with their friends? Because if they are depressed, it is bound. It can be very, very, it can sometimes be very obvious, but people are very unaware of it.
Hmm.
When they talk about self harm, or they can talk about dying, or just vanishing away, or not wanting to live, and such things. Sometimes it is it is veiled as just a teenager being a dramatic teenager. It's
Yeah.
just being a kind of a hormonal teenager or whatever, but it's not like that all the times. Parents need to keep a track of the things that they are doing. And apart from this, uh, wanting to be alone all the time, this is also something that depressed people really show as a sign. And if the child was especially sociable and would wanted to meet with other people, and would was someone who loves to hang out or just be around people, and then suddenly he goes into isolation or just wants to be alone. So that is one thing that one more thing that can be a sign of depression.
Okay, so then moving on, what are some possible solutions that parents can go for once they know that their child is facing some mental health issues? What are the possible solutions they can go?
First of all, being very, very open to the idea of having a child with a mental health issue. Okay, this is something that parents first need to realize. It does not mean that ye to pagal hai. It does not, it never means that. Here in India especially, that people think that whenever mental health is considered, it just straight away means pagal hai. This is a very common notion that parents have, usually the older generation has. So they need to first of all be open with the idea that mental health is not equivalent to being a mad or a mentally challenged person. It just means that there is something that is not actually not quite right with the child, and he needs help. That is simply that. Okay. And then they need to educate themselves again about the mental health issues, how they can talk to their children, how they can actually start the communication, how they need to first they have to make the first step. Children can be very, very shy or very, very reserved about opening up to their parents, especially if their parents are people who are judgmental maybe, or who are unaware of the psychological issues. And sometimes parents try to talk their children down, right? So this is why children can be very reserved while talking to the parents. So parents need to make the first move, talk to them, sit down and talk. First step is sitting down and talking with them, trying to make sure that they are in a comfortable space. Let them, and very important, another step when starting to talk is not being judgmental at all. Don't try to put them down like, oh, but you are always on your phone, so of course you will be depressed. No, such things will make them more reserved and they will never speak up again to you. So parents have to be very understanding while talking to them. No taunts, nothing. Very open, non-judgmental discussion should take place.
And
And then if the yes.
and no blaming also their kids.
Yes, no blaming, no blaming, because this is not something the child chose by himself or herself. This is something that is naturally developed. So he had no part in that. So there should be no blame. And if we are doing the blame, it could psychological issues very well can be hereditary. So it could definitely have come from the parents. So there is no blame game here. It just be very open and non-judgmental about it, and talk in a very empathic and empathetic and a very understanding way. And if the child opens up to you, or if the child opens up to you, very well and good. You can continue the conversation and try to just understand how they feel about certain things, what they feel is wrong with them, because children do feel that something is wrong with them most of the time when it is concerned with mental health issues. So all these things. And if the child doesn't speak up or doesn't feel comfortable speaking with their parents, so they need to find a teacher or a counselor, a mentor, a coach, anyone, any adult whom they would feel comfortable talking to. And I'm sure there must be one person at least in the whole world whom they feel comfortable talking to, so parents can try and persuade them to talk to them. Then the next thing they must do is, which is a very important step, is to make the child feel accepted, even with his or her mental illness or whatever issues he is going through. So the child should feel that no, this thing has not affected the love that my parents have for me, because this is again very important. Parents sometimes maybe unconsciously they might try to distance themselves away from their children. They could be also under stress, but can actually negatively impact the child, and they might feel that because I am this way, that is why my parents are distancing themselves away from me. And children are very, very brilliant observers. They observe everything more than adults do. So making the child feel accepted. And next step is to go ahead and talk to a professional. It could be a counselor, a professional counselor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. Personally, I would recommend going to a counselor or psychologist first, where the talking is done, where they can talk it out, where the psychologist or the counselor can figure out what is wrong. And then if needed, the psychologist or the counselor will consult them towards a psychiatrist if needed.
If needed,
That
right?
is,
Okay. So, is there a possibility to prevent mental health issues of a child, and if so, how?
many of the times yes, but many of the times no, because this is not something that is under our control. Even with the best of situations, if a person is clinically depressed, it is something that is just sometimes it is genetic. We don't know the underlying cause yet. So yes, sometimes it can be prevented, sometimes it can not be prevented at all. The main thing is that we have to be very open and vocal about it in our households. We must talk about it openly. We must discuss about it openly. We must be very accepting towards any kind of mental health issue that anyone faces. Most of the times, what happens is, even if children want to speak to their parents, they see that the parents are criticizing someone. For example, it is a celebrity, and they're criticizing someone, a celebrity with depression. They're like, "Arey, iske paas to itna paisa hai. How can he be depressed?" So these things are not okay. These might feel everyday banter, but this is not okay. If the child is going through the same thing, he will compare himself with that celebrity.
That
Okay, so he had money, and so he shouldn't feel depressed. I also have all the things. Why should I feel depressed? And that is why they will try to suppress their emotions, and they will try to just, you know, be reserved and feel ashamed even about it, because because parents have set the standards for them. So this is one way how parents can discourage their children, you know, about opening up.
Okay. So, what are a few common ways by which parents can take care of their child's physical and mental health after they see changes in behavior during the pandemic? Or, in other words, how can one tackle this situation?
uh, Talking, and we discuss talking, understanding, accepting, and everything. Apart from that, what they can do is try to be as involved with them as possible. Do activities that they like. You know, try to be hands-on parenting. Try hands-on parenting. Try to be involved in their life. Make them feel accepted and loved, and make them feel important. Children crave attention, and number one attention they crave from is from their parents. And when they don't get it from their parents, then they seek outlets, like they seek other substitutes, like it could be social media, it could be some friends, it could be anything. So first is just being there for your child. Just be there anytime he needs you, anytime he or she comes up to you and wants to talk to you, you have to be there. And then they can try to understand the mental health that is going on, and adapt themselves to the situation. If they know that some things can trigger their child, for example, if a person if they have a child who is depressive and some things could trigger them, then they should try to not, you know, expose him or her to those things. Try to not talk about those things. And also their relatives and their friends should be taught about it in a very educative way, in which they also uh, empathize with the child, and they also understand. And the second thing is, the parents should monitor what the child is doing, and also who are the people the child is talking to. It might be that someone out there is trying to bully her, someone is trying to, we don't know, coerce them into doing something that they are, that they could be triggered into doing, or they could be manipulated into doing. So parents need to take a look at all the people the child communicates with. And apart from these things, talking to a counselor, taking, all the measures that the counselor asks you to, and not trying to, just because there are many things while going through therapy, there are many things that the counselor might, ask you to do. Like one example, small example is like they try to tell you to be more open about your love. Like if you have to say I love you to your child in the morning, and while they wake up, and like things like these, which are not common in the desi society, I must say. So parents feel like, oh, ye isse kya hoga, right? Isse kya hoga? Nahi. But all these things really matter. All these things do bring about a change, and that is why the counselors or the therapists have recommended you to do so. So just try to be there as much as possible. Be aware, be educated, and uh, just, you know take all the necessary steps that the professionals tell you to take, and simply all those things.
And be friendly and open as well.
Yes, yes. Just be there, basically.
So, while we are at it, would you please apprise our audience how can they keep children physically active as well when they are at home and use this time in a positive manner?
Yes, definitely. The one thing I've been advocating throughout this whole pandemic is that this situation doesn't really have to be negative at all the times. We have the power to change it into what we want. If we want to create a positive environment in our households, we definitely can. It is in our hands. So parents, as the guardians of children, as the caregivers of children, they can create this atmosphere in the household where there is no panic, fear, or distress. Even though we are uncertain at times, but we should not let this project into our household. The atmosphere shouldn't become so that children are in fear, the adults are in fear, everybody is in fear, and just simply everyone's mental health is being
Affected.
deteriorating, and all those things. So creating a positive environment, trying to do as many activities as possible. Because of this pandemic, so many people have had the free time to, actually sit down and spend some time with their family, sit down and talk to them, sit down and,
Right.
just yeah, have some fun and all those things. So that can that can go on, that can still go on. They can plan some activities, some games, some educational stuff that they can do together. And then trying to work out, and because yoga and exercises have definitely proven to be very effective when it comes to mental health. Yes, people who are more active,
Hmm.
they can easily be they can easily get out of the negative mental health issues,
Hmm.
as compared to people who live a sedentary life and who are not as active. So it can really help. Yoga, meditation, all these things are really powerful tools that can be used to stay active and also keep your mental health in check. Apart from these, if you have if you are in a state or in a city where the lockdown is not as stringent or not as binding, so what they can do is try to go out. Of course, they have to take all the necessary precautions, wear your mask, sanitize and everything. Go out once in a while for a walk or maybe for a drive just through the city, so that they are also staying just inside the four walls of their houses can also trigger them and can make their just
Right, because it's been
make them
months
stressed a
since
lot.
this started.
Yes, it's been 8 months now, unbelievably. But so yeah, all these things can really help. And staying physically active is not as tough as people think it is. It could just be trying to jump rope. Just try to jump rope with your children. Everyone is doing something. Just minute physical activities can help a lot.
Right. Okay, so what kind of psychological support do children need during this time of crisis? It's apart from, as we talked earlier, like being open, being friendly to them. Apart from that, are there any psychological support that children would require from their parents?
Psychological could be things like you know just how the parents react towards their children, right? This is very important. Apart from these things, that there is not much that can be done if unless you go to a professional. So parents just need to have an open mind, and they really need to accept whatever it is, and they need to be prepared, and they also have to think about themselves also. How am I reacting towards my child? Am I being too harsh? Am I being this or that? All these things only. Otherwise, being open, all those things are all that is required. uh, I cannot believe it that such simple things are being neglected just because parents have this negative notion of the whole mental thing.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, so what do you think will be the long-term effect of these conditions on children? Will they be emotionally rattled in the long run, or is there a positive outcome, possible positive outcome of this?
Yes. So this thing again has two aspects. If the environment in which they are being grown up now, in which they are being forced to live, are positive, then it can have a lasting positive impact. If the parents made sure that their children had a good environment at their home, they were active throughout this, they were there, they were together as a family, all the positive things, they were doing activities together, this can actually have a positive outcome throughout their life. But on the other hand, if there was a negative situation inside the home, if the parents were fighting all the time, if there was a financial, even things like the financial crises,
Yeah.
and just maybe it could be related to the loss of a loved one, it could be related to the panic and stress that is around us, and all these things can negatively impact the children in the long term. It has also studies have shown that children who are under such stress are very much prone to having diabetes, having heart diseases, and also major psychological issues in the future, even after 10 years. So what you do now is so important. What you do now, what kind of environment you give your child, what kind of an atmosphere you create for your child, it is going to have a very long lasting impact. Parents need to make sure for the future of their children that now in this time they are being really well taken care of.
Hmm. Okay, so we know parenting concerns have also increased, but a lot of that isn't really being connected to specialists or helplines. So, where should the parents go for help, and how do we raise awareness about this? Because there's a lot of stigma attached, right? You would agree with me.
Yes,
So, what do we do
yes, yes,
about that?
definitely. Parents definitely need to go to professionals. If you go online and just search for a counselor that is nearby you, okay, so and there are many helpline numbers out there which are there for the just helping out children or parents who need assistance, so they can just go out and seek help. Try to learn as much as possible from what is being taught. This is very important. Though parents have a sense of superiority, or you could say there is a kind of a ego that parents को तो हमको तो सब पता है, हम लोग पेरेंट्स हैं, हम
Right.
लोग बेहतर जानते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है, कुछ चीजें नहीं जानते आप. So they need to be very open to learning about it, and seeking out for help is not a bad thing. This needs to go from their minds. Seeking out for help is actually something great that you can do for your child and for yourself. This is a kind of an investment that you're doing in favor of your child. So parents need to just seek out professional help, go to counselors. Schools have counselors these days. Contact your school. If they don't have counselors there, ask your school. Parents can collectively ask the school to hire a counselor for their children. They can go online and seek for help. They can seek out help locally with maybe a counselor or psychologist. All these things can really help the parent become aware of it. The parent should try to learn as much as possible from the situation. And apart from this, if a parent is going through a child has going through if a parent is having a child who is going through all these things, going through a mental issue, then he or she, the parents, need to raise awareness about this among their peers, among their relatives. It is very important. This is how at a very small level this can start, you know because there is so much stigma around it, especially in the desi society that we live in. Nobody talks about mental health. Mental health
Absolutely.
is just
I
simply
agree.
non-existent. Actually, parents feel like depression is an act. Having suicidal thoughts is just teens being rebellious,
Hmm.
and all these things. But these are real issues, and children are very vulnerable to these issues, and they can really go out. Things can go really out of hand very fast. The children who are under psychological stress now, they are very much prone to substance abuse in the future. Addictions, different kind of addictions. So all these things, and they will show a history of uh, uh, different kinds of medical issues in the future as well. So these things, if parents do not raise awareness now, they are bound to have a lot of issues with their children in the future. So raising awareness is this. Another thing to raise awareness is maybe try to get a counselor or a therapist or a psychologist to talk about these things. Like you can maybe conduct an online session like you all have done. Kudos to you all. So things like these, and they must raise this awareness at a community level, because when your child is going through something, you know how it feels, you know how difficult it is for your child to cope with this, how difficult it is for you to cope with this situation, to cope with having a child with a mental health issue, and making him feel as much normal as possible, making him feel that it's not his fault, making him feel all right, all these things. So anybody who is going through such things, they will know the goods and the bads that come with it. So that is why they must try to be advocates for mental health issues a lot. So this is something that we can all do at a basic level. And apart from this, the general people, what we can do is we can talk about it more with our friends. If our friends are going through some such things, so they can, they should never feel that we are not open to talking to them. We must always be for them non-judgmental, very much open, very much understanding and empathetic, not pitying is something that nobody wants, so we just have to be empathetic. So yes, all these are the things that we can do at a basic level. And I would really wish that the government of India, they also started, they could also start something that could raise awareness about mental health issues in India.
Right. So, with that, we come to an end of this interview. And well, thank you so much, Dr. Sumaya. We very much appreciate your time and your guidance to our audience on a very pressing issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really an honor being here with you. And I'm really glad that I could be a part of raising awareness about mental health issues, because this is something I really feel strongly about as well.
Thank you
So
so much.
thanks to you guys.